Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Paladins Summer Finals, where we have more games ahead and more eliminations to come as well. Before we get started, I do want to inform you that we were informed by the members of Wolfpack that one of the SEA community members, Agung Zilim Romantia, has passed away this morning. We send our condolences out to his family, friends, and the rest of the community members as well. For those tuning into the broadcast, if you would like to view with the best viewing experience, live.skillshot.com is where you can do that. Interactivity, an active chat, and even a reward system for you as well. My name is La Tigress. I am here with Gormizer to kick things off in the Paladin Summer Finals, day 2.
Now, today's going to be relatively interesting. And already, I think the first couple sets we have are going to be highly contended between about a lot of these teams. Some maybe not looking like what we expected, and some looking a lot better than what we thought we would see.
Yeah, and everyone, of course, is working towards that goal of HRX in November 16th through 18th at DreamHack. Buy your tickets at highresexpo.com, PWC, Console Wars, and our Smite content as well. And it's nice because we get a preview of some of these teams we may be seeing there later on.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see because some of the matchups that we actually have today, Burrito versus Fnatic specifically, is one that I kind of thought we were going to end up seeing at that last Game 7 in their semifinal when they were playing up against Na'Vi. Goes a different way. That could have been the finals that we had seen for PWC.
And similar to yesterday, we are making our way through the bracket with more best-of-3 sets. And with some of these teams we had seen prior, they're making their way through in hopes to keep themselves in the fight entirely.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that you see down at the bottom in the lower bracket, this could potentially be the last day they get to play today. So they have a lot on the line just being able to continue their path through all of this, and it's not going to be easy. A lot of these teams are recognizing what went wrong yesterday, doing that homework that they needed to do last night, and coming into today prepared not only for this match, but any match they might have to face.
Well, Spacestation Gaming in the first match against Wolfpack, they were knocked down to lower bracket by their brothers on Burrito. So we knew one of those teams was going to get knocked down earlier than we would expect them to just because the nature of the match, and now they're fighting on their last life.
And this is one of the more interesting areas because when they were playing Burrito, the first map they played, it felt, okay, this is contended between the two of them. Burrito just had a leg up. And then the second map was all Burrito. They just had control the entire time. And the question comes, and you can actually kind of see it here, how much is Space Station impacted by that empty seat behind them, not having the coach with them, not having someone that's helping make those decisions, even just in the draft, because they did not look like the full potential that we saw earlier in the spring.
That's the interesting part about it. There were some moments in the draft that were a little questionable. Remember Vox and I speaking about choosing certain things early on, but then you wonder, okay, how much of that would have changed then if they had somebody in that back seat?
And Aries even went on Twitter afterward and was just like, we did not draft well. He just straight up said it. He was like, that was terrible from us. We were bad from the start, essentially, is in his eyes how they went about it. So today they're looking to kind of recoup from that, being able to come in and be like, okay, well, Burrito know us really well. We're scrim partners coming up against Wolfpack. They don't know us really well, so we have a little bit more room to work around. We can flex around a little bit, and I think that this is kind of the stepping stone to get yourself right back into it.
And this is one of those matches where you have the team that's been to land with that experience versus a team that's still getting acclimated in that way. Wolfpack making their appearance, and SSG isn't somebody that you really can write off, but Wolfpack had some words to say going into this match. Let's hear them.
Spacestation Gaming. Now, I just want to kind of get your guys' reactions. Your first real experience playing on LAN. You guys feel a little more comfortable coming in today?
Well, yeah, definitely. We learned a lot yesterday going up against Armada, and I would like to believe that we've made the proper adjustments when we talked last night after the games.
That was something I noticed yesterday after your games versus Armada. You were still sitting in the booth, but I could tell you were talking. You were very inquisitive, I guess, of why you hadn't done so well during that performance. Do you think that you have completely locked down what you think you need? Because, yesterday Space Station weren't necessarily looking themselves either.
Yeah, we talked a lot, and we just wanted to, cause even though we lost, right, we wanted to keep the morale high, and so we didn't want to lose focus and watch the games and see where we could improve.
Now, the Southeast Asian region is a very proud region when it comes to Paladins, one of the more upstart communities, kind of really wrangling to get a team to get to the international scene. Yeah. So what does it mean to have that kind of support behind you guys when you play?
We're feeling really good here, and then the support in our scene is,
it's really a lot, Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing because of the pressure and stuff, but for us, we're just really grateful for for the community.
So for today, you're going up against Spacestation, which ended up winning a lot of people's hearts during the last LAN. They did really well there, but again, yesterday they weren't necessarily looking like their full potential when they went up against Burrito. Were you able to watch and maybe glean something that you're kind of excited that you think you can take them down now?
Yeah, we're definitely confident after watching their games. And I mean, when it comes to LAN, I think the first game's always the hardest, right?
Yeah.
So I hope we've adjusted well, and we will see if we were correct about their mistakes and stuff today.
Well, good luck to you in your games.
Thank you.
Get to it.
Well, and thank you again to the members of Wolfpack for keeping us in the loop with the SEA community. But really nice guys that seem to be coming in with a clear head, but know exactly what they're up against.
And I think that's a big difference, I think, that we saw from yesterday, where it's just in that area of they kind of knew what they were coming into, but you could tell they weren't happy with their performance. I even actually mentioned it to them. There was a point where after the games, they just sat there and they were talking to each other. And then they went back to their hotel room, evidently, and just sat and talked about it and figured out what did we do wrong and what can we do to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Another chance to prove themselves in this set. Best of 3. Find out where we're going first. Map number 1 will be Frog Isle.
This is a good opening map. Honestly, I think for either of these teams, I would probably lean a little bit more towards Space Station, depending on how their draft goes, just because playstyles on this map, usually once you can get yourself ahead, and they're very adept at that, you can really control it. But both teams have someone who is incredibly adept at being able to play sniper. Slicky comes to mind from Wolfpack, being able to bring that in. So I might expect maybe some different picks than what we've normally seen.
I do like this map in best of 3s in particular as well, because you can kind of go full on force with whatever composition you feel to snowball in that way, and then carry that over into another map. But Furia getting banned, Khan getting banned, not a surprise there.
Khan, I think at this point, has only gone through 1 or 2 games where he hasn't been banned or picked, and it's just in that area where it was a couple teams, I was G2 and Envy, where it's just like, maybe they didn't really need him. I feel like he could have fit in just as well, but most of the time I expect he's going to be banned out. And Furia, I mean, Nick has been saying for a long time, Pretty Hair has mentioned that this is probably one of her best maps overall. I mean, it's nice, long range, so you do get to use that hit scan, and then you pretty much have no line of sight breaks that you have to worry about too much on the point, so you can get healing done pretty easily.
And then Buck as well taken away. There's just been great play when you look at Fuzzy Logic, for instance, yesterday with Burrito, and SSG banning this away. Maybe they don't want to have to deal with something like that again.
And it's just another thing that Buck, even when you're able to shut down his healing, even if you get a bunch of anti-heal, he still has the damage reduction that he's able to bring into the table. So he's still able to kind of get in your face and cause a lot of trouble. A lot of people don't have a way to deal with that immediately. You need 2 members essentially to look at him then, and it just makes it way too difficult.
Drogo still keeps getting this early prioritization. Once again picked up first, securing that blaster potential, especially if Wolfpack decides to take an approach where their DPS players want to hide and poke behind those walls and those rocks where you just jump and try to get the shots, then Drogos can circle around for some of the AoE.
Kind of curious to see where Wolfpack want to actually drive this direction, because once Drogos gets locked in, there's still counters to Drogos. There's still things that make it so his performance can be undone. He's going to be good unless you can take him down. Cassie is going to be one of the ones I think you would look maybe a little bit more hit scan, but still able to hit really hard. And honestly, she's good enough right now that you want someone consistent.
When especially the lines of sight that can lean themselves towards, if they get kind of corralled in that capture area and the rest of your, let's say your front line is really pressuring them, then let Cassie sit there and poke from the back.
Being able to kind of use the window. Fernando going to come through. And I kind of like where Wolfpack went with Inara, but it is one of those things that SSG are getting a lot of really strong picks. Drogos and Fernando are going to be strong pretty much anywhere you take them as long as the map works a little bit well. There's very few maps I think Drogos won't work on. Fernando works on pretty much anything. Kinessa, this is going to be a really strong map for her, and as long as you're feeling pretty comfortable this morning, it's going to be kind of a good warm-up for you.
Oh, yes, and having that versatility in your damage with the Drogos and the Kinessa, I mean, those are 2 very different type of threats that Wolfpack is going to have to account for within their draft. I expect they take some kind of flank or something so that they can gap close towards this Kinessa and shut her down.
Being able to go through. This is typically why on Frog Isle or any other map, if you're planning on going a sniper, there's kind of 2 routes you can take it. You can either ban all the snipers so you don't want to deal with them, and then there's the I'm going to ban one, take one, Or, in this case, we might potentially get to see both. And I actually kind of like this. Strix, usually in the boxing match, gets that first shot just because of his stealth. But if you have the right kind of loadout for Kinessa, it's not going to change too much, especially if you've gone for Eagle Eye and you just get a headshot.
It's been a while since we've seen Sniper v Sniper. Pretty sure it's the first time during this LAN, because either both the snipers have been banned away, one of them, or only one of the teams wants to take that approach. And it really comes down to, okay, who's going to be the better shot, and are you taking advantage of your stealth and things like that to set up properly?
I will say Space Station's draft feels so much better right now than I feel anything I really gleamed out of yesterday. This feels a lot more like something you'd see out of Fnatic, something that you would see out of a team that is going to be able to lead the pack, and a lot of damage on there. There's a lot of potential, but there's also a lot of room for error, so they really have to be on point.
And FRZ got on the Drogos, speaking of yesterday, had some Dragon Punches that weren't connecting or getting juked a bit, and looked a little lost in a couple of moments because of the scared nature and the pressure that was being applied by their opponents. But here, maybe he can zone in on that more, and that tremendous play we've seen from him in the past. But Bomb King on the opposite end to secure their own blast potential.
Honestly, this is really interesting because I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Cassie and Bomb King to kill everyone else, where Strix has to look at Kinessa. He also has to look at Drogos. Like, he can't let both of them run free, and he's going to have the best boxing potential with those two. So I'm wondering where the rest of that is going to get spread. Like, who else can look at Kinessa? Who else can alleviate some of the pressure for Strix to perform?
Well, it's game one of the day, everybody, of the first set of the day, SSG versus Wolfpack. Let's get it started.
Well, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be back here. It's I Hold Shift and Rain Day. Looking fresh, my man. I got to say, we got a comment about the suit. It's looking good.
Not sure if NBA draft star or some Eastern European lady's couch from the 50s.
It's one or the other,
I'm
so
feeling
it's a coin toss, brother. It's a coin toss.
Okay, I can live with that.
You're looking good, and hopefully we're sounding good here as well. It's been a couple of crazy days, and Space Station Gaming looking to continue making a run that would be, I think, momentous for a lot of the fans out there from Brazil, from the org, and now partnered with the Utah Jazz. We know Shonduras has been around and involved, and you're still trying to get some of that merch, right?
I'm still Shonduras, man. Only directions up, man. I'm in your DMs.
And so we'll make sure we can get that happening. FRZ got as well. Somebody to pay attention to. Alan. What are you thinking about most about this double front line going against the solo front line here?
It's going to be really tough, I think, for the Inara simply because of the combustible that was picked up for FRZ God. He's looking to get that displacement as much as possible and that damage over time. And Rachao is going to have that freedom to kind of move a little bit more freely on the outsides.
A couple of big shots here from Mattel. First blood already. Mattel sends Creams back to the dream state. He will have a couple of seconds to spectate his buddies. 18% and already clear control off of that. Alan, it's an easy point cap.
That's such a tough peak, especially as the Kinessa. You have to hold that charge for so long to get the same value as a Strix would. So props to Mattel for that. FRZ got all this right-hand side now and gets a big salvo onto Bomb King, who has to force himself back. Rachao was there. He takes a look at the point and then goes right back to that danger ledge on the right side.
I love the change-up as combustible as well. So much of Fusillade has been what we've been looking at from these Drogos players, but just so many good shots, and Rachao continuing to just be prominent in his flank. And this is a Fernando that is doing a lot more than the tank role usually is described by.
Burn, baby, burn. Able to find himself on the right. He actually got that kill on Inara as well from a long-range fireball, looking from right to left. So again, that just goes to show this pivot that he's on, keeping his head in a swivel, making sure he's helping out not just on the flank, but also getting some pressure on the point.
And you have to say SSG coming to this probably is fan favorites and talent favorites as well, as far as what they've proven is in terms of their will to succeed. I can't separate these teams because Wolfpack have been through a lot. They've been to one of our lands about a year ago and have had so many visa issues coming here, but now finally being able to get a team that feel is competitive enough, getting through those issues, making it probably farther away than anyone besides Australia, and still putting up a good show. You got to give them props.
Absolutely, you have to. There's just so much work to be done here, though, and I think this defense can really set them up, but Unforgotten gets caught out again by FRZ God, who's just as good as Rachao when it comes to knowing where everybody is on the field. Rachao now giving some more heat to the Bomb King, who will drop from Ares Slug Rifle. And look at this, it pushes Wolfpack back into their base once again. A minute and 28, the payload is almost there.
Listen, I'm a fan of a song of fire and ice, but this is really a song of fire and flames. It's the combustible Drogos feeding into easy taps from Rachao with the fireball. It's just not looking very slick as Slicky falls. The Dragon has full control of the skies, and like you mentioned, Rachao just everywhere his team needs him to be.
And this is just great zoning. I mean, he puts himself behind that pillar so that way he can kind of keep himself out of line of sight from the Bomb King, turn around, hit that fireball, then go right back to business. He knows he has that focus. He has that kind of control point of keep that right sign locked down. And Bomb King hasn't been able to do anything simply because there's nowhere for him to peek yet.
Nothing to do. And honestly, when you have the type of pressure, there's really, really difficult decisions to make. You're in a position of, do I even try to make a play? We just lost one. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to be on an island if I don't get this right. FRZ God touted as one of, if not the best blaster player coming from Latin America and possibly in the world scene, but still a lot to prove. He needs the results. Rachao taking the right flank as well.
Yeah, this is going to be just time and time again what he's going to do. But look at the patience here from Wolfpack. They're actually not peeking yet, waiting to see what Rachao's going to do. Oh, through time and space actually connects against the Ganessa. And now we have an opportunity. Rachao able to get the Immortal off right as FRZ God hits the Dragon Punch. 2 for him as now they push forward.
And that's 2 that are huge. And they come off the back of a Sacred Asura through time and space, just insta-kill. And that was really what you thought was going to turn the round around for obviously Wolfpack here, but somehow the Wolves not as tough as the Dragon in the Sky, and Spacestation Gaming again look primed to take this point.
You know, it was a good start to the fight, but the problem again comes down to the Inaro King Bomb denied by Matau and FRZ God, and now a salvo right into the face of Creams. Meanwhile, the point gets captured by Ares, who now wants to push on forward. He's got Inaro low in front of him and says, this is the time, this is the place.
You could say it's cream gravy right now for Barrett and Ares and Space Station Gaming. The eliminations just keep falling. Unforgotten looks more forgotten as time passes, as it's looking to be a 4-0 Allen, and not very surprising, but definitely the, I think, ability for them to do this so clinically is impressive.
Here's the thing about Wolfpack, and one thing that we're not really seeing from them yet. The Inara has to be giving some support up front, but not committing until they have some kind of an advantage. Bomb King has had very little impact this game simply because he doesn't know where to go. He needs to be running in tandem with the Inara. Try to find some pressure on point. Here's an opening. Seismic Crash will connect for a couple, and here's the Bomb King right behind. But it's Minnow getting the shot on Slicky, and FRZ God pushing away Unforgotten into the deep blue sea.
Tell me how it feels. What's the temp of the water down below? FRZ God sends Inara on a bit of a unintentional vacation, at least on her part, but
Cake by the Ocean.
These are some mandatory PTO days. You get in the water. And Cake by the Ocean not eaten by the Stegall. In fact, I'm not even sure they eat cake. How do they get those rock hard abs doing that?
You know, it's a tough question. It might be one of those like really low carb, like low flour cakes.
Low carb, low flour, gluten,
not
vegan.
cake.
Like, what are you eating at that point if you're eating that?
I don't know. I would never put myself in a position to really be able to comment on that simply because cake is too good as it is. I'm not going to be eating low carb, no flour cake. Come on.
I'm not the brother who can do a diet and then be trying to eat like vegan cookies. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like, I'm done with cookies. Like if I'm going to eat a cookie, I'm going to eat an actual cookie that tastes amazing. I'm not going to try to like be doing this and be eating like vegan croissants and gluten-free, ice cream. I don't know what it is, but we also have Creams not having the best day for himself, as well as Wolfpack taking a very fast spill, 0-4 to SSG. Let's send it back to the desk and see what they have to say.
That was indeed quite fast, SSG securing that, and some of the things that weren't quite there yesterday seem to be there today.
Yeah, I was really excited going into this Slicky on Strix, but I ended up just enjoying what Mitau had to offer on Kness, like opening it up with an immediate headshot and then being able to follow it up. There was a point where holding the angles that he didn't even have to fire just because everyone on Wolfpack realized that he was going to be an imminent threat. They couldn't peek and try to get onto the point. And
yesterday, when it came to the Leon and the Xin play, not really doing anything as effective, but then here today on the Knessa, Mitau really managed to show out and apply that pressure. And even if you look at the frontliners like Rachao, the way that, as Alan had put it, pivoting and making sure that he could keep his eyes in multiple directions.
And the way they were playing it as well, you could see not only having Rachao, but having FRZ God, having Mitau, kind of set it up in a scenario where it's just like, all you have to do is hit Inara once. She has a Genos healing her. It's not going to be a lot of healing. It's not going to be like the combo you see with a Fury. It's not going to be the combo you see with a Maldamba. So her health really wasn't anywhere near as effective as it could have been, which made it a much easier target to just get rid of her.
And it's difficult to find those openings on Wolfpack where you had it through time and space that clipped one individual immediately. Oh, that's great. Maybe this is our opportunity to turn it. But then the Dragon Punch comes out and it baits out Immortal, but he had another target there anyway that he could go and slam into, got the double kill, and just turned it back to completely negate the previous ultimate.
And just being able to continue that pressure. I think that was one of the things that with the two of them, like you have FRZ got in the air, so he's either pulling distraction into the air and people have to look at him, or you have Metal being able to fire off pretty much seamlessly, no one able to really take him down.
And the 7 kills that he had, just a single death for him, didn't really seem like anyone was able to effectively lock him down. There's very key areas on Frog Isle that snipers usually rotate to, and you can see from this angle this is one of the exact ones. But it's a sucky feeling when you're on the opposite team and you know where that angle is, but you still can't find a way to get to them effectively.
And there was a moment like right after First Blood that he had to charge up his shot if he really wanted to have that full impact, but he was waiting for Strix to jump up. Like he's just constantly sitting there just like, make the wrong move. That's all you have to do is just make the wrong move, and he's going to punish you for it.
That just looked so... Oh, there's a King Bomb right there. I know he wants to blow up on his own time and do his own thing, but I'm just going to take complete control of that situation. The ultimate shutdown for the opponent.
And with the way it was going, again, no one's looking at him because everyone's looking at the Drogos, and no one's looking at Drogos because everyone's having to look at Fernando. Like, there's just so many threats that SSG had. There was no way to focus any one of them down.
That was just game number 1, though. It's best of 3, so SSG are 1 game away from moving on through. And also getting word that was Wolfpack's map pick for the first one, so now going on to Jaguar Falls. Or the second one is theirs, rather.
I mean, being able to go here, they're going to feel more comfortable, but I don't know if it's going to make a big difference overall. A lot of the control that we saw from Spacestation, I think, is going to apply pretty much any map you go to.
And right now, if you're looking at Jaguar Falls, you're not going to see the sniper picks that we saw on the previous map, but some of the other ones will still probably make an appearance.
I can still only remember, I've seen one sniper pick ever work on Jaguar Falls. It was the only, and it's an OCE player named Valentine who made it work, and I have never seen anyone else try to pull that out.
Maybe somebody will one day, but here we go, draft number 2. Wolfpack, if they do lose this set, they will be completely eliminated as we are currently in the bottom portion of this draft. And the bans, typical when they started off with Khan last time around, they might leave that to it's usually the secondary picking team that's been banning that away, as just in this moment happened.
I like the Leon ban as well from Wolfpack, just because, again, you're switching from a map where you still want something that's hit scan, especially if you're going to end up playing against the Drogos, which so far has been first pick relatively often for the last couple days. So Leon is going to be able to fill that same kind of role that you would expect out of like the Strix or the Kinessa, but being able to do it on a map that's a lot more close is much better.
Yeah, there's the way that you can Grayson some of the distance between cover on this map works out perfectly. Where, hey, I'm here, let me get a shot, Grace in the opposite direction where I just have to 2-step a little to the side to get cover once more.
1 2-step.
Yeah, a single 2-step.
Sure. But Buck is going to get banned away.
You can break up the 2-step.
Can you?
You can. If you're a pro.
If you're a pro.
And by all the meme videos, you're the pro dancer. So if anyone's going to break up the dancing in the most effective way, it's going to be you.
I don't know if I'd qualify that as pro dancing.
I don't know. I think once you put in a certain number... What is it? There's a certain number of hours. Once you hit that, then you're technically an expert in the...
Technically, I'm doing it at work and getting paid to dance.
10,000 hours. Have you danced 10,000 hours, Gore Miser?
Probably not. Well, Tyler said probably. I said probably not. I would go more with them on that because they actually have the footage.
We'll reach that one day. Maybe we'll count it through. But Furia didn't get banned away because of that Leon ban, now available for first pick.
Furia Fernando was something that I think G2 was picking up a lot whenever they were able to, just being able to get, I called it the press F to pay respects combo, because it's just like you get a lot of damage, a lot of tankiness, and a lot of healing all in just 2 picks. So you do get a little bit of a lead, but I mean, Drogos and Nara, Cassie, again, all 3 of these are really good. If you find a different support other than Genos, I think this Inara will have a much better time.
Shields, healing, who has to choose between the 2, right? I'd rather have both. And SSG is going in that direction. Wolfpack, they pick up the Drogos this time, Cassie still, and Inara. So on this map, when Inara can completely blockade the side passageways from the flanks if they decide to go in that direction on SSG, but trying to maybe couple that with a support that will allow some more of the sustainability on the point.
I actually really like the way, if this does go with Genos Bomb King, because Furia, Genos, both going to be able to have hit scan weapons, both going to be able to contend and stop Drogos from doing as much in the air. They both do pretty decent damage as well. Then you get the Bomb King, who, when you have a blaster, you can't get Drogos. I think this is going to be one of the best maps you could have Bomb King on, just because Drogos isn't going to do as well in the side rooms. Bomb King fights wherever he wants.
Yeah, he makes it his playground. It's a great map for him. And with that Furia, Fernando, and Genos and Bomb King, having that Furia-Genos combination, we've seen that pulled out already throughout the LAN, but what do you think that having this extra support healing going against the composition on the opposite end where you have Maldamba just constantly feeding Inara?
I like it even more because not only now do you have Inara with the Maldamba behind it, being able to keep her alive nonstop, you get the Willow in there as well. So it's like, hey, all the healing you have 2 supports. Furia going to be hitting, I want to say, a little bit harder overall in terms of the healing numbers than Genos, but you're still going to have a burst heal aside with a consistent heal. And now, hey, here's anti-heal on the point. You can't stand there if you're Fernando and feel comfortable.
Androxus, last one here for SSG. So do you think that that's going to be enough to combat on the opposite side when you have Willow and Drogos?
I think it's going to be enough. I mean, Androxus is known for hunting literally those 2 the most. He is going to have the best matchup there, so I'm interested to see how this goes. But the last time we saw Androxus, it didn't really meet the par that I think we expected, so there's a lot of room for error there.
Well, game number 2 is underway between SSG and Wolfpack, so casters, take it.
Well, we're going to have a very exciting brawl-out game here. It's just, can SSG maintain the same clinical nature they had in Game 1, or will Wolfpack respond here?
This is a tough choice right here, taking the Androxus. Yeah, it makes sense on paper, but Mutu couldn't pull it off against a Drogos Willow earlier. So if he's not able to do it, can Spacestation pull it out? 0-2 so far in the tournament is Androxus. Maybe this will be the first win.
You got to say, I mean, that probably says more about Androxus than Mutu. Because
I think so.
Mutu's so consistent. I mean, anything he plays looks OP at this point. And you can see also some of his favorites. The Buck banned out consistently in this set 2 times as well. And Creams will be on the Drogos trading places with FRZ God, who is now going to be on the Bomb King. And Metal running the ever-present, ever-beautiful Furia here, who has joined us this tournament.
Yeah, she's pretty nutty.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a Genos there, too. I mean, Genos' win rate has not been great,
That's
but
been
with
popular,
Furia,
right? The double.
with Furia, he's been nearly flawless. It's really tough because the damage boost is just free the entire time.
And it's just that, this obviously very, very aggressive lineup that's meant to overwhelm you with the amount of healing, the amount of damage they can do, and the supports also being damage threats, really putting FRZ God in a great spot to be the last man showing up and finding a kill. But Ares taking Slicky, and Creams finding Ares back is an interesting trade to start this fight off.
And it's Ares on Androxus. That's the one thing that's going to be the hardest thing for me to swallow, I think, after watching him play Khan, Inara, and Fernando. It's really interesting to see him take down the flank roll. He does trade out his life, but still Wolfpack, 42%, still has the Inara there, and she's tough to put off the point.
Minute and 30 seconds already gone by in this game. The point a little bit more contested than before.
Strike.
Fire Strike, it's Unforgotten and looking to be forgotten again. 3 kills in a row. Let's see if we can make that 4. Sacred Asura, great job in applying damage, and Slicky finding the kill, and that's a decent one. On to Ares, but FRZ God will claim the healer of Wolfpack.
This is why I like Cassie so much. I mean, she's just so good at dealing with flanks. She can dodge roll over, and all it takes is one auto attack and an impulse blast shot, and all of a sudden, Androxus is sitting here going, what do I do now?
Right.
Able to still find 1 kill, and FRZ God has got a nice angle over on the right-hand side. We'll back up towards the point to make sure they can get this. A Pyre Strike coming into the dark room. It will connect again, it looked like, for just a small second before Forgotten fell.
And Furia against this Inara is such a dangerous matchup, especially when you're behind. When she's on the point, all good. But the Pyre Strike, it's just such an easy shot when you know the route she has to take to get there. FRZ God with a triple kill here, and the spray sending it to a rampage and a 1-point lead now for SSG.
Goodness gracious, that was just really good target change, getting all of those last hits, all of them direct sticks as well at low HP, just, again, showing that FRZ God is the blaster to be reckoned with.
And this is the game that's going to put them into the next round. So all it is just winning Jaguar Falls, holding on to this lead, and SSG are through and continuing their journey. Wolfpack backs against the walls at this point.
And again, you're looking at the solo Inara, and you have to find some support. Ooh, Faithlight coming out. Androxus is going to get Dreadserpent. Need to find this kill, though. He's low, but not fallen yet. He's 1 HP. He's going to get out of Secret safely. Midow's going to get a kill into Slicky, and then go right back, heal up the Androxus, and he's safe. That's a huge missed opportunity.
And maybe this also pulls out Wolfpack thinking they've got a little bit more than they actually do. Creams wins a crucial 1v1 against Ares there. And Feaselfees, as you mentioned, finding a kill, and this will be the full reset set from SSG. Allen looking close, though, for the ability to maybe show some potential to bounce back in this set.
And I'm taking a look at Midal right now, who went into a very early blast shield, just simply because, again, look at all the damage coming out. You're dealing with, Cassie's got a direct attack ability, but most of her damage is coming out of Impulse, and then you're dealing with Willow and Drogo. So this pickup with the early blast shield is absolutely crucial to keep Midal alive.
Now, Cherish, such a big aspect of what Fury has brought to the high-level scene. The 25% and currently the 50%, 25% in live servers is just such a big heal. It's a full heal, essentially, but who cares about healing when you're getting bursted down by FRZ God? They're saying he's the best, and Shift, it seems like he's proven it.
Absolutely. Look at this mobility to go from north to south to help out with the kill. The Inflame was in hand too, so those sticky bombs were absolutely just giant sticks of dynamite on people. This is insane. He's absolutely going off here on FRZ God is. I mean, he's done well on Drogos, but this is one of the first times we've seen him this tournament on Bomb King, and he is impressing.
And to me, I think I love the flexibility of SSG's roster right here. Putting Ares on the Androxus, but then Dyron and Metal running these dual healers, but playing in such a good support way to where support sometimes means healing. Sometimes it means a Pyre Strike and a couple of headshots. It doesn't matter what the situation calls for. They are there to answer the call and pick up the telephone.
I mean, just look at this absolutely incredible change of target. Able to find the last shot, sees two right in front of him, gets the reload. One stick does damage collaterally onto both, and then one more, just a little flick shot over to Sacred. Just no chance whatsoever. It's just clinical, surgical gameplay from the Space Station.
You know what's
gaming.
insane? This guy could not practice last week. Wasn't allowed to. Or wasn't able to.
I'm confused.
Either way, he wasn't able to practice Paladins, and the ability for him to just jump on land and be this good, it's one of the things that, he has a 2-hour limit to play back at home, and it's just incredible to see him still be so sharp.
Yeah. I mean, that looked like he's been playing Bomb
like a guy
King
who's
for
never stopped
years.
playing.
Yeah. It's incredible. The healing numbers actually doing really well from Aldamba for Wolfpack. That's a good stat to keep in mind. But still, look at the Genos healing is actually over the top of Fury at the moment, which is, I would say, a surprise. Rachel looking for a backline push right here, Evan. This is looking really good again for the side of Space Station.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfpack have to be in trouble here because it's forcing Fieselfie's hands when maybe he didn't have a clear line of sight for the target he wanted. And now Midtow with the hit scan. That's just one thing you have to look at. Both healers, yes, both healers, but both hit scan healers. And that is going to really put a damper into this Willow that Fieselfie's picked later on in the lineup to try and combat, I think, some of the point pressure they would have.
Yeah, and you saw the damage numbers. Actually, it was the Furia above Androxus for a short time there. Again, Androxus looking for the clinical closing of kills, but the fact of the matter is when you have that much damage coming through, it doesn't make a difference who's putting it on. It's just easy kills through and through, and that's what we're seeing here. 99%. 3-0 goes Space Station Gaming as they're actually pushing into the base already of Wolfpack, just keeping them completely cloistered.
Yeah, this is nuts. I mean, you look at a team that is really ready for their big moment, and Burrito have had it at last year's World or this year's Worlds, but Burrito have yet to really get to that significant semifinal in a big international tournament like this, and yet to obviously get into a final. No Latin American or South American team has been able to do that, so this would be a crucial win, and what is a story that will continue to unfold over today, tomorrow, and Sunday, potentially an upset.
I mean, we're seeing Space Station after their performance in the spring. They're the only real contenders that I can think of in modern esports that could give a run to the big Counter-Strike favorites of SK back in the day.
Yeah.
And this is just incredible to see that. Again, the only direction is up is the motto, and so far they're looking really solid here, starting off the day versus Wolfpack. 138 in the clock, 75% of the way through the push as it takes its last turn. And again, FRZ God has got a nice line of sight. Look at the movement again, just able to find himself exactly where he needs to be, right in front of Rachel to help again this Fernando Bomb King combo.
King Bomb coming up, the wall blocks it, but I hear it. His Majesty going in for the kill, gets the stun. That's one. Slicky finds FRZ God, but Ares there to clean it up. And Rachel, you know what he's doing. Eating, boy. He is hungry. And Space Station Gaming, not content with what they've got. They need to move on, and they will. Smiles and exultation of joy as they progress.
One of the biggest things from yesterday to today that I have really seen improvement on is this, again, the combination of ultimates. Immortal popped at the exact right time while the King Bomb was coming through, so that way you, for sure, get that big stun off. There were 3 right in front of them. The Immortal keeps Bomb King alive, and those are the type of plays that we need to continue to see and continue to see improve, for that matter, from Space Station if they want to get through some more heavy-hitting opponents.
some conversations maybe not going the way they wanted, maybe not the communication Wolfpack were looking for, but our SEA competitors did a great job here, and obviously a long way to travel, and not always going to get them the right way. But I think this is the right step. You know, how many tournaments did Burrito, did SSG come in and get knocked out super early? That's just the things that happens until someday it doesn't.
It's a huge learning experience, you know, and talking with Creams a little bit more either on the interview or just after it, you know, you can tell their mindset is in the right mode to improve. They know what they have to do. They're taking the time to really dissect what their problems are versus what everybody else is doing. Those are the things that show signs of improvement in the international scene in the long run.
Exactly. Well, let's send it back to the desk as set one of the day wraps up SSG. Moving on.
Just as was in game number 1, SSG was looking great in game number 2, securing their movement on within the bracket.
I think FRZ God reminded everybody like why people were saying he was one of the best blasters in the world. That entire game was just perfect for a Bomb King montage. Like you could make probably 3 videos off of that.
If for anyone that missed during the last LAN the SSG performance, or they don't tune into the PGS as often and they're thinking, why does everyone talk about this dude, FRZ God, saying he's best blaster? What is this? And then you can watch that game and say, oh, that's why.
I mean, again, it was something, there was target switching, there was movement, like everything that you would have wanted coming from a Bomb King was there. 2 deaths to his name, and honestly, there was a point where he was standing in Wolfpack's base while they were capturing the point. Like he was fighting from behind Wolfpack, and it's just those little areas where it's like, okay, maybe a little bit too much aggression, but a lot that was just right on the mark.
And as the casters mentioned, the combination of Bomb King and Fernando were able to apply so much pressure. Rashao also had no issue getting down and dirty in the middle of the enemy spawn.
And it was just one of those things that, again, when you have that little bit of aggression, you push them back, it allows you as well as the Bomb King to move forward, and then you have a shield in case he gets in danger, but either way, you're just blowing people up. You hit him with a fireball, and he gets a couple bombs, and you're going to get 2-3 kills every single time.
So the Furia and the Genos combination there between Mitao and Diren, how do you believe that they added to the overall performance of SSG in Game 2?
I liked the way they were performing with it just because, again, it was hit scan presence that they would have, so a little bit more damage. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, you have like a good chunk of damage here, but it's not going to be the same as if you just went a regular DPS roll, and the same thing comes from Genos as well as Furia. And then a good chunk of healing, more so I'd say from Furia, and then a lot over time from Genos. And so being able to put them together, you get a lot of really good healing, and then about like 1.5 times like a Cassie, essentially, on your team.
On the side of Wolfpack, though, so they no longer are competing within this bracket. That was their last chance to stay in it. What were your thoughts on their first LAN performance as a unit?
I mean, it's one of those things you could see where some of the issues were definitely yesterday, a little bit today, but a lot of it was, again, you're looking at these teams that have had this kind of control before. SSG is one that is known to contend with like G2, to contend with Fnatic, to contend with Na'Vi and Envy. So you're going up against this team, and it's the first big LAN that you've gotten to be in for a year. So being able to come in, even though it didn't go your way, there were a lot of things that went right for them, and they have, I think, just enough that they can go back, learn a lot more, apply it into the PGS that they're playing in, and then come back stronger next time.
Well, it's just as the caster said too. We talk about SSG, we talk about Burrito, and how we're so impressed with them and their performance at LAN. But yeah, it wasn't always that way. They didn't just come out of the bat swinging. They had to get their own skills developed and then think about these other regions, and it's a lot to keep in your head when you're here at LAN. So if it's your first one, a lot of it is observation and getting to know your competition.
I think the best quote for it always is going to be that sucking at something is the first step to being really good at something. Sort of good at something, then really good at something. Like, it's always those small steps, right? You start out and you're not going to be good. Like, look at me. I'm not that good. But then as long as you apply a lot of that, like you practice and kind of keep pushing forward, you get there. So Wolfpack, I expect to be a much harder hitting contender the next time they come through.
Well, we have some of the individuals from SSG standing by to share with us their thoughts after that victory.
All right, guys, congratulations. First one of the day out of the way. How's it feel to kind of get the mojo running today?
Really good, actually. After yesterday, we didn't play that well. We were watching the votes yesterday after the game, and we didn't recognize us playing. And we stepped for a moment, think about it, tried to make the mistakes right, and win the game today.
I got a question. You're representing so much in terms of your organization, SSG. You've talked a lot about how you want to be somebody that makes that organization proud with your performance here. Are you nervous at all going into the rest of this tournament on making sure you get wins? Is that kind of something that's weighing on you?
Yes, I don't know about him, but every start of the game I was shaky, I was nervous. The beginning of this frog ice low, I dropped from the high ground and I was like, fuck, I shouldn't do that. And I was like, I missed 3 or 2 hills, I don't know. I was sad for a moment, breathe, and everything went right after that.
I think the problem was about our performance yesterday. I mean, we didn't recognize ourselves. I don't remember the last time we played like that, and Burrito was really good. I think the pressure on this match was more like we need to get back as we used to play before. So it's not about, I mean, SSG, because they don't give us a lot of pressure. Of course, it's a big org with the big teams, and we want to be another good team for them. So that's it.
You guys got G2 next.
Yeah.
Saw them in the spring. You guys got a 2-over this versus them in a best-of-3 series. Do you guys feel like what you just displayed against Wolfpack will be enough to go over the North Americans?
We need to get better, because I didn't think it's like G2 now, they know us very well because we used to scream against them. So it's not like the last match, they didn't expect much from us. Now they do. Now they recognize us as a big opponent. So it's going to be a tough match, but we're ready for that.
All right, that's the rematch, guys. Good luck. I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are too. We'll let you get ready.
Thank
you.
Thanks.